Before I start this session, at the point of being exceedingly repetitive, if you like the contents of this channel, could you please subscribe to the channel, like it, and share it with other friends? It does make a lot of difference to me. Thank you. Today, I really want to talk about mental health issues, counseling, and a lot of fears and myths that are there in people's minds vis-a-vis counseling, vis-a-vis seeking help. Fact of the matter is that the kind of lifestyles we lead, the stress that we all deal with, everybody has some mental issue or the other which they are battling on their own, which they're trying to sort out on their own. Mental health issues affect millions of people around the world. The truth is, counseling has the ability to help everybody, whether you have a serious issue or you don't have a serious issue. In fact, something that we learned as counselors when we were taking our training was that even as counselors, we should take counseling. And it is important to go to sort out, to even if an issue has cropped up, which is there in our subconscious, has not come up to the conscious, bring it out, vent it out, clear it. Counseling is something that I personally have found. It helps with social issues, it helps with personal development. The fact is that every human being is unique, and because they're unique, they're dealing with their own set of unique issues or problems. And the one brilliant way of dealing with it is to get into counseling. What I've always felt, one of the things, and I've talked about this in one of the previous videos where I talked about the fact that venting is so important. Venting is nothing more or less than talking, expressing, letting out your feelings, letting out your emotions. That in itself is therapeutic. Now imagine you go to this person who could be an absolute stranger. You don't know the person from Adam, not a part of your social circle, and more importantly, bound by the oath of privacy to not let, not talk about what they hear from you. In that kind of a safe and secure setting, when you went, you don't even realize how much you had bottled up inside you, how much you had stored inside you, and what the kind of relief that you feel getting it out of your system. However, having said that, there are so many myths about counseling, about going to a counselor, about going for help. What I really want to do is tackle those myths and start explaining why they're just, that is why they're called myths, because they are not fact. One of the biggest myths, and probably the first myth that anybody deals with, is if you go for counseling, people will know about it and they will judge you. First and foremost, when you go for counseling, one of the best results from counseling would be that you would not care about the judgment of others, because what others think about you is not important. What you think about you is important. So they will create, a good counselor will create a sense of wholeness and well-being in you, will help you help yourself become a more confident person who is not affected by the judgments of others. Also, remember that when you go into counseling, give yourself a pat on the back, because it means you have the will to learn about yourself, to improve the quality of your life. It takes a lot of strength and courage to go to a counselor, even in today's scenario. So, if you do go to a counselor, rather than being worried about the judgment, how about patting yourself on the back and Giving yourself that thumbs up that you had the courage to actually go and help yourself. It's not that the counselor is helping you, you are helping yourself, and the counselor will be your tool, will help you learn how to help yourself. That is the beauty of that. And also remember one very important thing, that as a counselor, most counselors, in fact all counselors, are bound by an oath of privacy. They cannot share your information with anybody else unless it is something where there is a police issue, or you're going to be a danger to yourself or something like that, in which case they may need to call in external help. But 99.9% of the time, the counselors are bound by an oath of privacy, and they will not leak out your personal information. There's another very major myth that says counseling is only for major issues or for crazy people. Yes, you can go for counseling for major life issues, traumas, traumatic situations, loss, any one of these serious issues. But fact of the matter is, sometimes you need to go for counseling just to have that unbiased person listen to you, hear you vent, and be completely non-judgmental. Whether your issues are small or large, whether your pain is big or little, it doesn't matter. Your issues are yours, they're very real to you, and it's brilliant to be able to have somebody who can sit across, listen to you, unbiased, unjudgmental, unconditional. Counseling is not just for major issues, and counseling is not only for crazy people. In fact, counseling is so important for everybody. It's there for you, it's there for me, it's for everybody in every walk of life. Admitting that you need help or going to a counselor is a sign of weakness. That's again something I've heard so often when people come to me. They're very diffident about coming to me or going to another counselor because they feel it's a sign of weakness. Do you know, the most courageous people are the ones who realize there's a problem and take that step to help themselves get out of that problem. Be it mental, physical, emotional, it doesn't matter. It takes a lot of courage. So going to a counselor is actually not a sign of weakness. I would put it the other way. Not going to a counselor is more a sign of weakness because you are not willing to accept reality. So please do not think that going to a counselor means you're weak. It is a testament of courage, a testament of the fact that you actually have the courage and the gumption to improve yourself, to better your conditions, to sort a problem, to sort an issue, to deal with it. Another myth that is very common, and I've heard it so often, is that counseling doesn't help. It will make the situation worse. Not really. Normally, what happens is that when you go to a counselor, they will give you the support you need. They will give you an ability to look at different perspectives. They will help you find a solution that works for you. You know, the only time I found that counseling doesn't work is when you don't want it to work. That is the only way counseling fails. Because, yes, I've had people who've come to me, who've come for counseling, and then completely negated everything that happened in the session, gone back to old behavior modes, old methods, everything. Obviously, counseling did not work for them, so they would come up and say, but it didn't make a difference. Counseling will not make a difference. You are going to make that difference. If you are not going to take the help and the support that is being given to you, and if you are not willing to follow the path that has been charted not by the counselor. It's a path that has been charted by you with the help of the counselor, something that works for you, something that resonates for you. Obviously, counseling is not going to work in those circumstances. There's another very, very common myth that says men do not benefit from counseling because men find it very hard to get in touch with their feelings. That is such a myth. It is not true at all. Yes, fact of the matter is that more women seek counseling than men, but then it may be that women are more courageous than men. They are able to recognize a problem faster than men. Also, don't forget, we have lived in a male dominated society for centuries. Somewhere down the line, it is still fed into men that it is a sign of weakness to seek help, to go for support, to acknowledge that you are in trouble, that you are in distress. And maybe it is in addition to that myth that comes the next myth that men will not benefit from counseling. Actually, whether you're a man, a woman, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your caste, creed, color, sex, nothing matters. The only thing that matters and the only people who are going to benefit from counseling are the ones who want to help themselves. So, myth that men will not benefit from counseling, not true at all. There is another very common, it's not as much a myth as a fear that the counselor doesn't know me. And this is a double edged fear that the counselor doesn't know me, so the counselor can't help me. Fact of the matter is, the counselor doesn't have to know you in advance. The counselor gets to know you through sessions, through talking when you went. And that is the best way for a counselor to get to know you because they come without prejudices, they come without judgments, they listen to you, and they actually see you as you are, for who you are. When you go to a counselor that you actually know and is from your circle, now this is the double-edged sword. That if you go to somebody you know and you're comfortable with, you will be scared to vent out and let your innermost feelings come out because there's always the fear that I know this person, the talk will spread in my circles. Fact of the matter is, firstly, a counselor does not need to know you. They will get to know you during sessions. And second, if you go to a counselor that is a known person, either which way, a counselor is bound by the oath of privacy not to share your private details with anybody. They are unbiased, impartial, and they are trained professionals who can give insight into situations and feelings that you're having and would not be able to get from anybody else. Myth: counseling takes a long time and costs a lot of money. Yes, counseling in a lot of cases, if you're going to a senior or a trained counselor, counseling can be expensive. Taking a lot of time, it depends. The amount of time counseling will take totally depends on your wish, will, and desire to help yourself. If the wish, will, desire to help yourself is there and it's strong, counseling will not take that long because at the end of the day, it's not the counselor who's working, it is you who have to work to help yourself. The harder you work, the faster the results. The slower you work, the more resistance you have, the slower the results. And yes, then costs will go up. And of course, you can always find counselors in different, who are charging different amounts of money. It is not the money that makes a good counselor. You have to find a counselor that resonates with you. Another very common myth that I deal with all the time is couples counseling or marriage counseling. Most of the times people say, oh, why do we need counseling? Why our relationship's perfectly fine, there are minor issues here and there, but those are normal, so why do we need the counseling? Now, fact of the matter is, when everything is going good, but there are those teeny tiny cracks that are happening, if you could cement those cracks right in the beginning, you would not, they would not become an abyss, they would not become a chasm. So it is, like a stitch in time doesn't need nine, that old saying. Even if your relationship is perfectly fine, but there are those tiny cracks, by going to a counselor, what happens is a couple is two people. That means there are two perspectives, two points of views, two different social conditionings, two different outlooks. By going to a couples counselor, you learn to understand and respect your partner's points of view, which means that even those tiny cracks get cemented, they get healed. It is not always necessary to go for couples counseling when you're at the point of breakdown. In fact, I feel that when you've already come to that point of breakdown and you're going for couples counseling, more often than not, it may not work because you've already reached that point where you don't want to try, or even if you give it a shot, there's so much of baggage in that relationship that it's very hard to heal. So, genuinely, before that baggage comes on, before it comes to that point of break, heal it. Couples counseling is exactly like counseling, the way every human being needs that counselor. It's so important. So is it with couples counseling. It will improve your relationship. It will make it better, make it deeper, solidify the foundation. And it is not true that in couples counseling, one person is made the villain. That is not true. A counselor will be impartial, unjudgmental, listen to both sides of the story, and help you understand each other's points of views. They're not sitting there saying, oh, the husband is to blame or the wife is to blame. That is not the case. That is not what happens. So it is not necessary that you have to come to the point of divorce or separation to have couples counseling. Sometimes it's nice just to go for that counseling to strengthen a relationship, to create a better bond. Another very, very common myth that I've heard: oh, all counselors are the same. I went to this counselor and it was useless. It is possible that you did not resonate with one counselor. That does not mean all counselors are bad. Try another counselor. It is okay. You will find a counselor with whom you resonate and then can work to help yourself. A very common and a very major myth that I've heard very, very often, that a counselor will tell me what my problems are, the counselor will then try and fix me. Or, like I just heard, a counselor will control me. Believe you me, it is not in the counselor's interest to control you. They are not going to tell you what your problems are. They will bring you to a point where you understand what your problems are and verbalize them, vocalize them, and recognize them. A counselor will not tell you how to fix your problems. They will work with you so that you can find a solution that best resonates with you to fix that problem. So either you will fix it for yourself, finding methods that work for you. So remove this idea from your head that a counselor will control you, will fix you, will do anything. They don't. They just help you get clarity in your own thought, help you face reality of what are the problems you're facing, and then help you find a solution that works the best for you. Counseling is also not a quick fix to all your problems. You can't go to a counselor and say, oh, I have a problem, fix it. No, the counselor cannot fix it. You can. You are the only one who can fix your own problems. It is like what I heard one day. I was talking to somebody, and there's a friend, a very close friend, and this girl actually turned and asked me, oh, you're a healer. I said, yes, I am. So why don't you heal me? I started laughing. I can't heal you unless you ask for healing. I will not intrude into your space. Well, I am asking you for healing. Why don't you heal me? So I asked her, I said, what is your problem? What do you require healing from? So her answer was, I want peace of mind. Now heal me. And I started laughing. I'm a healer. I'm not a magician. Not like I can't work a magic spell to bring peace of mind. What she needed was a counselor, to go to a counselor who would help her face her realities and find her peace of mind. Whereas she was wanting a quick fix. No healer, no counselor can provide you a quick fix. There are no quick fixes, there are no shortcuts. If you have taken an X amount of time to reach a point of distress, you are going to take a certain amount of time to heal from that problem as well. There is another very common myth, and probably one of the very big myths, that when I go for counseling, it'll change who I am. No, a counselor does not change who you are. They get you in touch with the true person that you are. Every human being, as you grow older, resembles an onion. There is a core, and then you build layer after layer after layer of social conditioning, learned skills, what you've seen, what you've observed, what you've been taught. Now, some of those layers are true to you, and some of those layers are not true to you. And the ones that are not true to you create a push and a pull, which is why you have problems. What a counselor does is helps you peel those layers to get you to recognize that essence and core of the person you are. And it is such a beautiful place to be when you see yourself and when you acquaint yourself with yourself. And you realize that all of us, you, me, every one of us, we are all beautiful human beings with very good souls, with very good energies. And when you get acquainted with that really gorgeous person that is at the core of you, there's that sense of wholeness, a sense of completeness, a sense of belonging. And that is what a counselor does for you. So here I have talked of a lot of myths of counseling and have clarified a lot of them. Please do go to a counselor. Whether you are in trouble or not, you will find that a counselor will be able to help you. Find the right counselor, find the right resonance with that counselor, and help yourself achieve the greatness that is there inside